TV has never been on a par with it today. The previous not many years have seen it ascend higher than ever, and it is protected to state that this brilliant time of TV has no deficiency of inventiveness. Be that as it may, a smart thought doesn't generally mean a decent item, and in the realm of diversion, nothing is more disillusioning than squandered potential. A smart thought being demolished by awful execution is a way more rankling event than a show just being awful. We should investigate ideal instances of this marvel. Here are 10 terrible TV shows that squandered extraordinary ideas.
Number 10. Revenge was a remarkable dramatization about a puzzling young lady moving to the Hamptons under a phony personality to retaliate for the homicide of her dad, who was murdered in jail while carrying out a daily existence punishment for a wrongdoing he didn't submit. With an expertly created arrangement years really taking shape, the supposed Emily Thorne searches out to gradually decimate the lives of any individual who had an impact in her dad's demise.
The astute reason of ABS's Revenge was propelled by Alexandre Dumas' exemplary novel The Count of Monte Cristo.
And keeping in mind that the principal period of the show was truly fun and convincing, the accompanying seasons immediately degenerated into an excessively tangled wreck that generally outstayed its welcome.
Retribution was in the long run dropped in 2015 at the end of its 4th season, yet it was declared in November 2019 that a continuation arrangement is at present being developed at ABS. Number 9. The Lying Game. Amma, a high school encouraged kid carrying on with an existence of battle and destitution in Arizona, discovers her life flipped around totally when she meets her indistinguishable twin Sutton, who she never knew existed. Sutton, who was received by a rich family, requests that Amma have her spot back home for a couple of days, while she goes determined to reveal reality behind the personality of their introduction to the world mother. Working inseparably, the sisters rapidly discover they are at the focal point of a peculiar and ridiculous trick that could answer why they were isolated during childbirth, and never recounted each other's existence. The Lying Game had a reason for the ages. Had it been set into the correct hands, it could have effectively gotten a cutting-edge exemplary of connivance spine chillers. Lamentably, what we wound up with was a shockingly level youngster show with ineffectively planned storylines, and a misused riddle continually cornering itself into each conceivable platitude, all in an edgy endeavor to keep itself fascinating. Obviously, individuals didn't remain to discover what occurred straight away, and The Lying Game was suddenly dropped in its subsequent season, alongside the entirety of its latent capacity. Number 8. The Secret Life of the American Teenager. Okay, this one is guaranteed. The Secret Life of the American Teenager is presently scandalous for being one of the most noticeably awful TV shows ever. Be that as it may, the fundamental idea driving it could have made for a sincere and certified story of teenager pregnancy. In our current reality where shows like Skins, Euphoria or Sex Education exist, indicating youngsters in a more sensible light to address genuine subjects, it is practically unpardonable that such a lethargic and shallow arrangement was permitted to continue for 5 seasons. Aside from its straightforward summation, long-term old young lady discovers she is pregnant after her first time. Not a solitary part of this show is even acceptably fair. The composing is off-kilter, best case scenario, the acting is agonizing to watch, and thinking back, the main genuine accomplishment The Secret Life of the American Teenager has the right to be credited for is the one of making Shailene Woodley famous. Regardless of whether years after the fact, Woodley herself confessed to despising both the show's standards and the character she depicted in it, uncovering that she had to finish the 5 seasons due to being lawfully stuck in her agreement. Number 7. Another Life. A space traveler and her profoundly broken team need to confront awful occasions as they leave on a risky mission to find the root of a Goliath relic that bafflingly arrived on Earth. Not an especially out-of-the-case idea, however, one sufficiently able to make a serious space drama as a TV program. Those are entirely uncommon. In any case, that is unquestionably not what we got. Another Life is an ideal case of journalists taking an extraordinary idea, just to moronic it down to something that is practically offending to the crowd's knowledge. The narrating is at a record-breaking low here and has not many saving graces. The arrangement debuted on Netflix in the spring of 2019 and is as of now viewed as one of the most noticeably awful shows the real-time feature has ever delivered. All things considered, Another Life by one way or another got recharged for a second season in February 2020. Go figure. Number 6. Heroes. Legends. A gathering of customary individuals who bafflingly create superpowers after an overshadowing, need to locate one another and go about as one to keep a whole world-destroying future from occurring. As they explore through their new reality, they wind up chased somewhere near a mystery association known as the Company. An exciting ride, isn't that so? Everything about this story seems like a triumph asking to be made. What's more, it was at first. While its first season is generally viewed as perhaps the best period of TV ever constructed, Heroes was fiercely influenced by the notorious Ogre essayist strike of 2007. Subsequently, NBC had to gather the tale of the second season in a brought-down absolute of 11 scenes, rather than the arranged 24.
This very late choice made the show become generally lopsided, and it tragically never recuperated from the hit.
From that point forward, Heroes stayed a wrecked play with a scattered story, up until its closure after 4 seasons in 2010. A continuation arrangement named Heroes Reborn endeavored to revitalize the establishment in 2015, however it was dropped after 1 season because of helpless evaluations, adequately finishing the Heroes universe.
As they attempt to make sense of how to make do as a gathering, we discover that they are in reality totally indicted lawbreakers stuck within a reenactment.
The island was made to watch their conduct and check whether they would transcend their previous slip-ups, or return to their most noticeably terrible selves. As it were, Prison Break and Lost meet Westworld. But the idea is the place the acclaim closes. Not a solitary thing about the island works. The characters feel like they were composed by long-term molds, and the acting rejuvenating them is so significantly terrible that it transforms the entire thing into an implant satire. The narrating doesn't try to have any feeling of rationale or structure at all, yet endeavors a lot of silly contorts to shock the crowd, all paving the way to a ridiculous closure suffocated in plot openings. Fortunately, it was declared not long after its delivery that the island would not be returning for a subsequent season. Number 3. Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. One of the most significant parts of any show or film is the tone. A story can be extraordinary, yet can even now crash and burn if the tone isn't right. Such is the situation for Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, Netflix's reevaluation of the exemplary Archie comics character, in light of the realistic novel of a similar name. The Unbelievable Witch was guaranteed a terrific revisitation of structure in this new variation, and the principal look delivered in September 2018 affirmed an epic resurrection was coming. The brief mystery offered an especially vile interpretation of Sabrina Spellman and her story.
A dim repulsiveness ride plunging into the evil part of black magic in the town of Greendale.
It was splendid to the point that even the most incredulous fans quickly put their confidence in the show. Yet, much to our dismay, the publicity just fortified the mistake that ensued. Instead of the frightening witch story we were guaranteed, what we got was a shockingly dull teenager show with tasteless characters, dreadful discourse, and off-kilter composing with no genuine ability to read a compass. The befuddling pacing makes a wonky tone that doesn't appear to know whether it needs to be batty and strange or dull and coarse, causing this incoherent manifestation of Sabrina to feel like it was made for kids, in spite of being too fierce to possibly be made for youngsters.
Also, that is all without referencing the exhausting subplots, arbitrary melodic numbers, and gracious, did we notice this show has a similar show sprinter as Riverdale?
It is nothing unexpected that Netflix dropped Chilling Adventures of Sabrina in July 2020, with makers reporting through Twitter that its fourth season, which began shooting before the COVID-19 pandemic, would be the show's last. Number 2.13 Reasons Why. It's an extremely uncommon thing to see a show's go wrong originated from its own pomposity.
However, Netflix's 13 Reasons Why has been a brilliant illustration with regards to makers' feeling of pomposity turning into the drive behind a show with such substantial themes.
The first season had its benefits. It wasn't great, yet there appeared to be a certifiable endeavor at recounting to an impactful anecdote about a little youngster who was in a lot of agony. It merited the opportunity to be vindicated. The story was likewise made connecting with by a genuinely convincing plot gadget, as tapes deserted by the perished young person. All the pieces were set up to make something great. Mental well-being is clearly an intense subject, and 13 Reasons Why has unfortunately become a breathtaking exhibition on how not to address it. The show had no motivation to exist past its first season, and the lengths it has gone to with an end goal to profit by contention, for example, Number 1. Pretty Little Liars. When Alison De Laurentiis bafflingly disappears after a sleepover with her closest companions, the unassuming community of Rosewood is in a complete condition of stun. After a year, her companions Aria, Spencer, Emily and Hannah unexpectedly begin to get abnormal messages from an obscure element just known as A, who appears to know each and every insights concerning their lives. As they race with time as the opponent to discover who is presently coercing them, the young ladies make stunning revelations. Not exclusively is the whole town of Rosewood loaded with individuals with something to cover up. However, it would appear that Alison De Laurentiis was truly a very obscure, manipulative, and even perilous young lady. A young lady with a ton of privileged insights, a great deal of intensity, and a ton of foes.